hopefully you guys are ready. Let's go ahead and jump into this. What is game number 1 between the returners and Q Squad? I almost said it. This is just Q Squad, though. No longer the numbers. Thank God for that. So these two teams going at it, of course, here. The blind banning phase, as always, to begin. But this is no doubt a matchup. I know a lot of people, including myself, really excited specifically to see Angry Testy coming back and playing for a competitive team once again. We got a little bit of a taste of that yesterday, but as you say, we got some, lesser experienced, lesser skilled teams. Let's be honest. This is not a lesser skilled team, though. This is Q Squad, a team, again, they just finished 4th in the Redemption event. This is a team that's just been getting stronger and stronger, it seems like, as time has gone on. So we're really going to get a good idea here of what the returners are going to bring to us here in this very near future with this DreamHawn Destination DreamHack event. So the blind band's taking place. We had Dark Lady Tempest from Emperor, and then Kinesis and Warbeast.
I know it.
By Q Squad. Jeppin's Kinesis. Q Squad doesn't want any of it.
And they don't want any of Bry's Warbeast action. That's some respect band coming out very early from Q Squad.
Yeah.
And kind of interesting. So there's going to be a load of goodies, if you will, that are available in that pool. We got that mine's a little bit bugged. I had to reconnect, guys, because I didn't have sound, but I do now. But we're going to have that Dark Lady band. Is that correct? Yes,
yes.
She is banned.
But
we're going to have Draconis is available, Silhouette's available, Magebane's available, Tundra's available, Pebbles is available, Ophelia's available. I mean, and all the strong supports. So it's going to be a matter of, yes, we're going to get lots of good things, but how can we fit it effectively in a lineup that works?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you talked about it, though. I mean, talk about respect bands. I mean, Kinesis and Warbeast by Q Squad. So two very, very powerful player-hero combinations over there. And it's not like we've seen a lot of Jeppin's Kinesis. It just was yesterday, and as you put it, though, in TMM at least, and he definitely has a lot of success. So Q Squad clearly showing that they're very aware of that. But you put it, there are a lot of powerful heroes open as a result of that, perhaps. Cthulhu Font, the first lock. Parasite Voodoo Jester by Q Squad. So these teams, playing their own games. Of course, Cthulhu Font, very powerful for Emperor. He loves to play him. Voodoo Jester, same thing for Q Squad, specifically SQY over there. In fact, our most recent article on HaunTour.com talked about some player-hero powerful combinations, and SQY playing Voodoo Jester was one of those that was mentioned. But look at that Gravekeeper locked over here. We are seeing some very interesting things here, and Master of Arms on top of that.
I do love Master of Arms. And Gravekeeper, actually, let me double-check here on the changelog. I believe he did get recent buffs here, specifically with his ulti cooldown. Yeah, the cooldown is significant, guys. It went from 140, 120, 100. It stayed similar, the exact same at level 1, but it went down 20 seconds at level 2, and then 40 seconds at level 3. That's a 60-second cooldown on his ult when he has it level 3. And that's huge. I mean, his ult does damage, man. Yeah. It is one of the actually most devastating ults. It actually does damage to towers as well, and people don't realize that. But that could be one of the reasons that they actually did lock him. Now, there were some other bans as well, or sorry, not bans, but nerfs as well, specifically the Dark Lady. Just nerfs all across the board for her, specifically with her Cover of Darkness. But, yeah, some interesting things to note. And the final lock there from SQY is that Bombardier. So already a crazy lock pool right there.
It really is. Knowing that we're going to see 4 of those 6 heroes, I'm intrigued. I really am. Not only, obviously, we had such a great matchup as we're going to have over these next 6-7 days or whatever it is here on Honcast, but we're going to have a not only great matchup, but some awesome hero picks on top of that. So really excited, but I guess when you're dealing with Emperor specifically, not too much of a surprise. He is known for doing that. That's why I personally love him, at least. The banning phase starting, though, Jereziah is going to be the first ban right off the bat, taken care of by Emperor. So now Q Squad, it is their chance to respond. But already both teams even using a bit of extra time here to even go through the locking phase. And not too often you see that. Usually they're pretty confident on who they want to do so. Plague Rider, the follow-up. We'll see if this picks up a little bit of steam here. But, yeah, Gravekeeper, so you talked about the ultimate change where they're really buffed. That is a massive buff, actually, when you think about it, with the cooldown reduction.
Right.
What about Gravekeeper as a whole? I mean, how much experience do you personally have with him?
He's a very strong laner. He is definitely item-dependent, though, and he is very, very squishy. So if you can get him past that squishy phase, and he's similar to a snowball type of hero. He has a good start. He does amazing things. He has a bad start. He does nothing. So it's kind of a risky pick. But if you have a player that's very, very strong in that hero and knows perfectly how to play him, it could be effective. And it's always effective picking heroes that people aren't normally used to playing against, because it throws them off. They have to play differently. They don't expect what you can throw at them. So.
Could you ever see him in a support role, or would you think he is purely more of a solo kind of hero?
You could possibly see him as a support role because his ultimate is kind of one of those level 6 abilities I talk about. You don't need items for it to be effective. You just simply cast it. It's a static damage, doesn't scale or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, he could be played as a support. Again, he is quite squishy, but yeah, he could, I guess. I just think
he has a decent stun, a decent slow. I mean,
right,
not too bad.
Yeah.
So. Well, we'll see. Eventually, if he happens to be picked up here by either team, we'll see. Perhaps talk about him a little bit more. But the banning phase finishing, so it went like this: Jarosiah, Plague Rider, Fade, Tundra, Nymphora, and there's a Draconis, as you were mentioning. But with the Draconis ban, there's still plenty of carry options open. Your Mage Bane, Silhouette, Forsaken. Of course, Dark Lady was banned from the blind ban phase. But first pick coming up here from the returners on the Legion side.
Silhouette could be a very strong pick right here. And they do go with a Silhouette. There is still Mage Bane available, also Forsaken Archer, which we've seen actually both Q Squad and TT Esports. Those two teams in particular really do favor that Forsaken Archer as a go-to carry, if nothing like Silhouette or Dark Lady is available. So that's one thing to think about. But the first pick, Silhouette, that opens up a lot. It's a very safe first pick. They can go, they can lane him in the safe lane and not have to worry about, it being contested, except maybe against a Parasite pseudo tri-lane, which Q Squad does like to do. The other thing that you can do with the Silhouette is solo short lane, have a very strong dual lane mid, since so many players, or sorry, I should say so many teams like to throw a suicide hero, and Silhouette just dominates against a dual lane, also dominates against a suicide. So that's why Silhouette's such a safe pick.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a hero. Angry Testy, if he happens to end up playing it, could do just fine on him, sure. So, yeah, definitely a strong pick there to get things kicked off for our Legion side. Q Squad thinking a bit about this, but they're going to go with Pharaoh Forsaken Archer. So you talked about the Forsaken Archer possibility, and there we go with Q Squad picking up. And that's kind of starting of that god composition, as you even referred to, with the Pharaoh Forsaken Archer. If they go Keeper of the Forest next, they really got it going for them.
I was just going to mention that. That would look like the god comp. Pharaoh, Forsaken Archer, and Keeper of the Forest. And I wouldn't put it past Q Squad to pick Keeper at all. They do love to pick Keeper. There's the Ophelia pick. And there's the Glacius. I really like that. That's going to be so strong. It's going to be almost impossible for them to contest that, even with the Parasite in that like a pseudo long lane. I do expect them to go Keeper and just try to massively outfarm the Ophelia. But as Tessie claims, Ophelia farms very, very quickly. She can. So I'm interested to see what they do. But yeah, the God comp is there. It's available. Pharaoh Forsaken Archer, just prove us right. Pick that Keeper of the Forest.
Come on.
You know you want to.
Yeah, it's a good feeling when you can guess it and you get it right. So Keeper of the Forest, come on, Q Squad, I'm with you. By the way, a quick, I don't know if we've even mentioned this, but because both of us just know, and I'm sure plenty of people that watch the stream, they know, but Angry Testy, that is I'm a Pumpkin. That is one of his many Smurf accounts. So just to clarify that actually is Angry Testy.
Right.
And if you were wondering who the hell is Angry Testy on this team. So that is him. We do have the final regular pick here for Q Squad, now down to 20 seconds in extra time, so both you and I seem to like that Keeper of the Forest option. It's not going to be him, though. Instead, it's actually going to be Torturer as their go-to option. So Torturer, Pharaoh, and Forsaken Archer are their first three. The lock pick is going to be a snap pick here. But Emperor, no, it's not. So they're going to think about it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think right now their problem is they might have to go Suicide. But seeing how they have an Ophelia and a Glacius, they could easily man-up mode and go something like... they could even go Cthulhu Glacius lane with Ophelia, have a solo mid being Keeper of the Forest or MOA or Bob. So I feel like that's their best option right now, having a short lane Silhouette and manning up with Ophelia and Glacius. We'll see what they do, but I would expect something like a Cthulhu to be picked up here. Cthulhu or maybe that Master of Arms.
Yeah. So, but clearly Emperor thinking about it, as I'm sure the team is kind of giving their input as well as far as who they want to actually pick up here, but... And now down to 18 seconds and counting. We mentioned Jeppins earlier. By the way, there's that Cthulhu font, so there you go. We mentioned Jeppins earlier, though. One thing I meant to mention on him in the cast previous, but we'll say on this one, he's an old-school player all the way back to, you may remember TSM, and anyone that it's old-school Honcast,
yeah,
they would know that I was a huge fan of TSM because they were one of the most consistently good teams. They never were really able to break through and be that top tier, but they were always consistently good, and Jeppins was a big part of that. But there you go with the response from Q Squad. Voodoo, Jester, and Parasite coming out, so they have their 5-man lineup over there.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what Q Squad is going to do with that lineup. Normally, when you see a Parasite, you want to go man up You want to go man-up mode, especially against an Ophelia, but Glacius actually does screw with Parasite just a little bit. You can maybe say that he doesn't screw with him that much because you can just pop out of his Ice Imprisonment, but it's still an annoying factor, and it kind of forces you to pop out of that. I would expect, I was just going to say, wow, there was some synchronized ready-up, so intimidation factor, but there's a Master of Arms pickup final for the returners, and I like that a little bit better. For some reason, I thought they were going to go Gravekeeper, but I think Master of Arms is much safer. I said some time ago that I'm a big fan of Master of Arms. I don't think he's picked up enough. We saw a huge resurgence of him way back in Winter DreamHack 2011.
Yeah.
And he was picked up all the time, and then people just kind of stopped picking him. So
yeah. Kind of died off once again, but it looks like Jeppins is going to be playing him over here for the returners, so intrigued to see what he does. I'm not going to lie, I would have liked to see Gravekeeper, again, just one of those newer heroes that we've never really seen on the competitive scene, but hey, there is a lot on the line here after all. What is now their first match in the group stages. Again, every single team will play 7 best-out-of-3 matchups against each other team from their group, so Q Squad versus the returners here. And so, again, it is just the first matchup. You can look at it that way, but you can also look at it as if we want to get off to a fast start, especially against a great team here. So big win would definitely be very, very nice. So look at what Q Squad's doing, though. All 5 players very, very quickly, actually, running down here to the bottom lane. They want to get this warded side down, and Ophelia's charging over as well as Silhouette here for the Legion team. So this could get a little bit dangerous for the returners if they're not careful here.
Definitely, especially that Ophelia. Silhouette's going to be in a relatively safe spot, at least right now. An early ward coming out. Yep, there's Ophelia spotted. She's actually definitely going to die. There's a stun to follow. Parasite's not even going to need to use or level up that Q ability. And there's the dead Ophelia. That's a very unfortunate big start for QsQ, getting that Bloodlust, especially on Jonas the Fan, who's going to be that suicide role probably.
Yeah, he is, of course, playing that Farron, as you mentioned earlier, great suicide player himself, so excellent start for Q Squad, and they will gladly take that. So, I mean, do you think that was a misplay by Enzo, or was that really just completely catching him off guard and nothing that he could have done there?
I think you just need to be a little bit more careful when you're roaming down there. Teams are good enough now that they roam very, very quickly. It's not like you just roam one. If they were kind of all in, and you got to be ready for that. A lot of teams are doing that now, so... Yeah. Just needed to be a little bit more careful with his positioning, and that's going to kind of it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it is going to set the tone for the match, and hopefully it doesn't affect him too much in a mental way. But we are going to see, it looks like it's still going to be a Suicide Cthulhu, and they're going to be dual laning mid Master of Arms Glacius against another dual lane, actually, of Torturer and Voodoo Jester. So I actually like that a little bit better. Now, that being said, Cthulhu, he's not the most effective suicide laner anymore with that change to that hard camp. And actually, he's going to be going against a Parasite 2 that's going to be up there, who's going to be stealing creeps. And if he's able to steal them actually after Parasite does, that'll be effective. But Parasite can simply just press R and hop right out of it.
Yeah, right before. So, yeah, Cthulhu being played by Emperor here. Again, a great Cthulhu player. This is definitely a hero that comes to mind when I think his name, as well as many others, let's be honest. But even the best of them, as I like to say, may not necessarily have the greatest time. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on how Emperor does here at the top lane. But this middle lane definitely intrigues me. Master of Arms Glacius versus a Torture Voodoo Chester. Not what I expected, at least. I don't know about you, but how do you see this lane playing out here in the middle?
It's they're both range lanes. Like, all of them are ranged.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard. It's going to be who gets the jump on who first. And I think Glacius has a little bit more burst, a little bit more damage than Voodoo. I'm actually a lot more damage than Voodoo. So if Voodoo gets caught out, that he could be in trouble. But there's a lot of stuns on this Torture and Voodoo side. I mean, you got potentially like 3 or 4, maybe even 4 stuns, depending on the casks and how lucky you are with those. So it's going to be hard. But if they get some assistance from Ophelia, they could be in a good spot. I think an early, actually, yeah, SQY actually had the Warder site down there before Fitsky, so they have a good idea of where Fitsky's ward was placed. It's right on the exact same spot. But if Ophelia is going to be really the factor here. But the same thing goes for Parasite. If he's able to get some good ganks on either mid or top, then they'll be in a good spot. Top rune was camped, or is being camped actually, for the 2-minute rune. Glacius is up there as well, but it's going to be an invis. That's got to hurt a lot. You got to wonder maybe if you could go up there a little bit earlier. That's going to hurt Cthulhu. That's even going to hurt mid lane. And Cthulhu might be in a lot of trouble. I think he knows something is up.
Yeah.
They had to have known. He needs to be careful.
Yeah, he is going back right now. Will he use a charge in time? Is he going to be able to get away? Cursor Grand comes out. It's only level 1, though. He gets caught by the piercing or crippling volley, I believe, even even after the trample, but it doesn't matter. He is going to get away. And with, again, being a level 1 Curse of Ground, doesn't really need to worry about ticking down. So there's the last tick. It wears off, and he's fine mid lane in the meantime. Torture in a lot of trouble. Bloodlust kill perhaps coming out for the returners. One more auto attack. Yes, it is going to happen. Jeppins will get the Bloodlust kill. Excuse me, I don't know what I'm talking about. The Bloodlust kill already happened. That's the second kill of the game. Of course, the Bloodlust was onto Ophelia way before the horn even sounded, so I just completely passed me. But anyways, they get a kill. They do tie it at 1 hero kill apiece, and Jeppins taking advantage of obviously knowing Voodoo Jester was missing.
Bottom lane, Ophelia's coming over here to gank. Has the Skeleton King, gets the root off. The stun coming up, maybe from Silhouette. No, it does not hit. Are they going to have enough auto attack damage? It's going to be very, very close. There's a Relentless Salvo proc in there. It does just barely get enough damage. Actually did level up that Relentless Salvo to 2. I think that's the right route, especially against a melee hero. So you don't even need to waste that mana on the Death Lotus. He did use it to proc that Relentless Salvo to give him that extra attack speed, but very, very good gank. Good setup there from the Skeleton King, specifically by Enzo.
Yeah, how about that matchup, though? Because I was actually looked at the creep score real quickly just before that death. I mean, now it is starting to go a little bit more in the lead of Silhouette, but it was actually, I believe both had 12 creep kills at the time of the death right there. So it seemed like Pharaoh actually holding his own. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, we see Curse of Ground coming out on a Master of Arms, but really not much damage to follow up, so Jeppins will be more than fine. He also has a bottle for eventual regen. But what do you think of Pharaoh versus Silhouette, and what are his chances?
Well, he got the Bloodlust in the beginning of the game, so that extra gold definitely helps. And actually, check this out. He bought a full Iron Shield. So, I mean, those are slipper or agility boots that you're using. And, I mean, it doesn't help you as far as stats goes, but I guess the Iron Shield is good against a ranged hero like Silhouette, so he's mitigating a lot of damage, I suppose. I think it's a waste personally, but it's still mitigating a lot of damage, so he can play up a lot further. And since he is Suicide, most Suicide Pharaohs always do level up that Tormented Soul. He's actually opting out of Mummy Walls completely, and actually a miss in action top lane as Emperor does fall to Nox and Male using a creep, I'm assuming, to help assist that
I don't think he did, actually. I caught that about midway. It looked like he just kind of came in by himself, though. It was just a matter of Nox going aggressive with a crippling volley, then a follow-up leech on top of that, and just a little bit too much damage for Cthulhu to handle. So, yeah, great kill there at the top lane, tying it at 2 hero kills apiece. But, I mean, going back to the Iron Shield purchase on Pharaoh, I think, as you put it, and I kind of forgot about that, but he did get the Bloodlust kill, so it's probably one of those cases of, I have this extra gold, I'm going to go ahead and use it on an Iron Shield just to reduce damage harassment, where if he didn't get the Bloodlust kill, then very likely he wouldn't have gotten it. So could just be that purpose, but obviously still got got killed himself as a result of the good roam from Enzo playing that Pharaoh, or excuse me, I'm all over the place, playing that Ophelia. But Angry Testy down here at the bottom lane on Silhouette is definitely having a good time. 30-7 creep farm. He also sitting on that 1 hero kill, of course. And now we're going to start, no, not attacking the tower, actually. What do you make of that? So he chooses not to put damage into the tower.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It's not the biggest deal. I mean, the tower's not going to be taking that much auto attack damage as the creep wave dies instantly. But mid lane actually might be some action. This is really the problem in mid lane for for the returners. Is look at Jeppins' farm on Master of Arms. It's very low, 14-2 compared to Torture, who's at 26-4. And if you look just all across the board, it seems like Q Squad is out farming them respectively in every hero. I mean, even the Voodoo Jester support has 6 creep kills under his own belt. But yeah, Torture 26-4, Forsaken Archer free farming. You compare that to the free farming Silhouette, and you got to compare Pharaoh, who's 22 CS, to that Suicide Cthulhu, who's got 11. So they're just kind of getting out farmed in every category. So Master of Arms, this lane is not proving to be the most effective. It is against another dual range lane, being with lots of stuns, mind you, with Voodoo Jester and Torture. But
we do see Ophelia in a little bit of trouble down here. The leech already used. There's the Skeleton King net, so will it be enough? Yes, it will to survive. And actually a turnaround possibility being set up. Mali's going to try to run away right here. He does not have enough mana for anything just yet, so even if a creep came nearby, will he get enough now? No, he will not, but he's going to be fine at the end. It looks like Master of Arms going over. The chain reactions from Torture being played by Style, just missing. And Jeppin should be fine. In fact, another turnaround chance. Here we go. Acid Cocktail coming out, though. The Curse of Ground is placed. Master of Arms in a lot of trouble. He will end up falling most likely. There we go, but they did get the counter kill on a Voodoo Jester. Tower damage onto Style right here on Torture. In comes Cthulhu. What a trample from Emperor right there, just hitting him. And it ends up being a 2-for-1 exchange in favor of the returners right there. So that didn't end up too poorly, I guess, but Master of Arms did fall as well. Yeah,
Master of Arms just really simply needs much more farm. You have to compare him to the Torture. he's a very good hero, and once he hits level 6, that's where he really starts to be effective in the game. That ultimate is so effective. The global Master's Call prevents so much damage. I actually don't know if that's what it's called on the defensive side, but
yes.
In the meantime, you do have the free farmers on both sides, respectively, Angry Testy and Forsaken Archer going at it as far as getting the most farm they can. Angry Testy actually winning just a little bit against this Pharaoh. But, I mean, Forsaken Archer should have a completely free lane. I mean, yes, Cthulhu was up there for a little bit, but realizes quickly that with a Parasite roaming around those woods, can't really hold his own that much. So he's got to play very careful. I'm actually surprised he's doing this well. Roamed a little bit towards the mid. That was a great job. He's actually already level 6. So he's doing a fine job here considering the circumstances.
Yeah, again, at the very least you can ask for is get those levels. And as you just mentioned, he is level 6, and his experience per minute isn't really that bad. I mean, he's second on the team even. 4th overall, I believe it looks like, in the game at 300 experience per minute. So, yeah, not too bad from Emperor there. Again, a great Cthulhu player, so you can't be too surprised about that, I guess. But you do match up Silhouette versus Forsaken Archer. Silhouette has the slight level advantage, but Forsaken Archer, the slight gold per minute advantage currently. We do see, as they tried to finish off Voodoo Jester, Invisibility was picked up, though. He's going to survive for now. There's a turnaround on to Master of Arms. Master of Arms will fall. Voodoo Jester, not even necessary. Parasite and Torture do enough burst damage, and Glacius is just going to run away for his life. So I missed the beginning of that, but it sounds like they nearly killed Voodoo Jester, but did not in the end.
Oh, it was so close. Voodoo Jester was sitting there. It was almost a mistake by him. Actually, Cthulhu's going to be in a lot of trouble right now, too, if he doesn't know that this Voodoo Jester is still invis, despite having pretty much no life at all. But, yeah, he was sitting there at the invis rune, did not take it. I was thinking, Voodoo Jester, what are you doing? Almost died. The Glacial Blast from Glacius actually missed him invis. Had they hit, it was so close. Voodoo Jester would have died, but then they were able to easily turn it on to Master of Arms. Again, Master of Arms just not having a good game right now, and that's really what's hurting the returners right now. They're at a small disadvantage, about 2k gold, 1600 experience. Pharaoh, he was taking a little bit of damage down there, but he's still okay. But yeah, that Iron Shield is kind of an interesting pickup. Let's check out the CS Testy, or I should say I'm a Pumpkin, but I'll just call him Angry Testy.
Yeah, let's just call him.
He's sitting at 60 CS, so doing, well, pretty much neck and neck, actually, with this Forsaken Archer. So it's very, very early to tell right now, but we'll have to wait and see how this game evolves.
Yeah, this has definitely been a pretty aggressive game. I mean, we got 4 to 4 hero kills, 9.5 minutes in, so or definitely an entertaining start in that sense. But at the same time, you do have both Silhouette and Forsaken Archer. They are sitting back and just free farming as much as possible, and it is showing because, as you kind of just were referring to, it's still staying a slight advantage overall in gold per minute for Forsaken Archer. But they are very, very close. Forsaken Archer, though, she goes actually that Whispering Helm route. Nox, I believe, he is known for doing this on Forsaken Archer, kind of like picking up after Slicks, you could say. Of course, he's also very popular for doing that style of build. He's going to really aggressively push this top tower, as Silhouette doing the same thing at the bottom lane in the meantime, and also has assistance from Ophelia. Middle tower also being pushed, so all 3 towers, first towers on every single lane, being pressure right here for one side or the other. The bottom tower will go down, the top tower goes down at basically the same time. And they're going to start falling back, it looks like. Maybe not. Silhouette going to keep playing aggressive, actually, as Forsaken Archer also going to keep pushing. So, interesting scenario happening here.
Yeah, definitely. It's extremely even trade. They're maybe trying to push mid as well. They have a lot of heroes grouped up in the mid, being 3, Master of Arms, Glacius, and Cthulhu. Glacius, unfortunately, does not have boots yet. Maybe just about 100 gold away from getting those. And actually, Ophelia being very aggressive on his torture behind the tower. That's very aggressive, though. He's going to actually be in a lot of trouble now, and does die to the mass TPs and the response there. So I'm not quite sure, what the thought process was behind that, but that was a very, very aggressive move. It did not pay off.
Yeah, at the same time, though, QsQ has a decision to make, because Silhouette is still pushing this bottom tower. Looks like she's going to finally start falling back, though, and that'll be the end of that. But you said it. I kind of wonder a little bit what Enzo was thinking. I think there was some miscommunication there. I mean, he was probably expecting some more follow-up, because there's no way he was going to kill Torture simply by himself. And it just didn't seem like Master of Arms or Glacius were really ready to follow up to him right there. So that ended up being a death for Enzo, and not too much effort for QsQ in the end, other than a couple of ports that happened. But yeah, Silhouette is starting to fall back once again right now. She's going to run into Voodoo Jester, though, it looks like. Ward of Sight goes down. Where's the Acid Cocktail? There's about nice Pharaoh ultimate as well. She's going to try to true grapple away. Will it be enough? The Acid Cocktail bounces all the way over, and she will take the Torment at soul damage with the Curse of Ground on her, but she should be fine when it's all said and done. So, pretty solid getaway from Angry Testy right there. In the meantime, in the middle lane, Torture going for a quick cut to Glacius, and a quick cut. No, nice defensive Master's Call coming out from Jeppins right there. Very good reaction on a Fitzgay, and as a result, Torture will have to run away. He almost got the snipe, but great reaction from Master.
Yeah, a good reaction from him. And but nonetheless, I mean, Torture is bossing it up, man. He's got a lot of damage. with those. He's got max Q and E, so max chain reaction and the agonizing bonds. There's a lot of burst. And, you couple those great stuns. And actually, Forsaken Archer putting a lot of damage actually on Cthulhuphon. Cthulhuphon's going to be a lot of trouble. The stun does hit. He actually gets a heal from Ophelia. Will it be enough? It's going to be somewhere close. One more auto attack for the Skeletons. Might even get it. No, Torture is actually going to get it with the final auto attack. So, yeah, too much damage. I mean, Forsaken Archer actually pumping out a lot of damage, considering the fact that she is going for a Whispering Helm, but it does give you plus 20 damage on top of that Quick Blade that she has and the Steam Boot fixed to Agility. So, that was a lot of damage on the Cthulhuphon.
Yeah, Emperor playing a little bit too far up. I mean, you could say they don't really have much, if any, vision actually on the top side of the map especially, so he's kind of playing a little bit risky there. And obviously, Torturer and Forsaken Archer made him pay for that. That stun animation, by the way, was very awkward. When he was in mid-charge, it looked like the chain reactions actually missed.
I know.
But I think you're right. I think it did actually hit. It's just because of how that trample works and being caught by also the crippling volley, so it's just a little bit awkward. But it did hit, and he eventually fell as a result of that. So right now, the Returners is falling behind here. They're down by 4,000 gold, 3,800 experience. The middle tower, a lot of pressures here, but Enzo and Fitzgerald are here as well, and they will be able to deny it at least, so that's good for them. Silhouette is in a lot of trouble here at the bottom lane, playing a little bit too aggressive. She does not have her ultimate just yet. In comes Sparrow. There's the Cursor Ground. Defensive Master's Call comes out. The ultimate in 2 seconds. There's a True Grapple ultimate. Yeah, it's not going to be enough, though. Yeah, the Cursor Ground is on, and she will eventually fall. So Angry Testy trying to make the getaway there, but you can see that being set up for a little bit, and eventually it was executed.
Yeah, the ultimate from Silhouette does not disjoint that. It does not disjoint the Cursed Ground. In fact, I don't think really anything does.
you can't dispel, you can't deny, you can't do anything. So,
but yeah, you can't use your Geometer's Bane out of it definitely. But one thing I wanted to mention that is that SQY actually had an interesting ward placement down here. Normally you would see this kind of lane ward coming out from the Legion side, but it's actually coming out from the Hellborn side.
Yeah.
And so it does provide. That was like the one instance I feel like where it would have been effective, but it definitely worked out. So it's definitely worth the gold spent on it.
Yeah, he's SQY has definitely proven to be an upcoming name here on the competitive scene as a great support player. So. And it's maybe making some great plays before this event, and definitely in this game as well. Interesting placement right there, but as you said, it got the job done, so that's what matters. Q Squad, again, 4,700 goal lead, 4,300 experience. Specifically that Forsaken Archer looking really dominant right now. Cthulhuphon getting caught here in the middle lane, but he will be fine in the end. But yeah, Forsaken Archer, she already has her Firebrand actually finished. And this does go back to what I stressed earlier at the beginning of the game, talking about those Dreamhound Redemption stats. He was the top individual player in gold per minute average between all the games played in the quarterfinal stage. He averaged 540 plus gold per minute on average. I mean, that's not your high. That's his average that he have for every single game. So he just really knows how to farm, get those kills to assist with it as well, and is definitely an awesome carry player right now on the competitive scene. And once again, showing here, he's going to clean up triple stack Ancients with of course, that Piercing Arrow ability. Taking a little bit longer, but he has a Whispering Helm as well, and Voodoo Jester even assisting. So he's going to clean that up, and his goal per minute really skyrocketing right now at 455. In the meantime, you have Silhouette only at 365. So that gap is definitely getting bigger and bigger here.
It is, and I would say that the team fight potential from Legion's side is not nearly as strong as Hellborn's. I mean, when you have a Pharaoh initiating, when you have a Parasite that can pick off one of the heroes instantly with that Codex that I'm sure he has. I haven't actually checked, but he was in the making for it like 5 minutes ago. So it's going to be really hard. And actually, Glacius is going to feel that Codex right about now. Fitzke can't do anything about that. Just got his boots not too long ago, but that's the power of Parasite, man. When you have an early farm on him, converts those Ghost Marchers to the very fast Codex, it's just a bane for support heroes that are underleveled and underfarmed.
Yeah, it's obviously right there. That was a Wild Hunter picked up by Melee on Parasite, just snuck up behind Glacius, and he will just feed off of heroes like that, as we saw right there. So easy kill for him, and that Codex, we'll see if he levels it up or instead finishes some more Ghost Marchers or goes somewhere else from there. Torture has been kind of a name to a style here, playing this Torture. His game, he's been having a solid game. His hero kill stats, he's 2, 3, and 3, so not the most impressive, but he's farming 278 gold per minute and doing pretty well. Right now has a haste rune bottled up, actually. But also Pharaoh, Joseph fan, look at his GPM. He's nearing 300 gold per minute himself. Again, remember, he was 1 versus 1 Silhouette at the bottom lane. He even got ganked early on by Ophelia and Silhouette. But he's managing to have a great game, actually. He's got his helm with the Black Legion. He still has that Iron Shield. And the power supply over here. Torturer catching Glacius. There's a defensive master's call, though. It will save him. He gets ported back to base as well. and Glacius will live in the end. So, again, good support coming out from the team right there. But Silhouette will, once again, need to be so careful. They're going to go for a big tower dive, it looks like. In comes the Hasted Torture. Can he land the chain reactions? Yes, again. There's the Acid Cocktail to follow. Where's the Crystal Ground? There it goes. The Pharaoh ultimate even used. And Silhouette's in a lot of trouble. The support comes in for the counter kills. Torture will die. Silhouette going to pour it out. Pharaoh's now in a lot of trouble. Silhouette will survive. What a turnaround from the returners. Pharaoh still somehow tanky enough to absorb all this damage. He does have a homecoming stone. Can he actually use it? Parasite coming in, and Parasite wants some kills on Codex. Master of Arms. Master of Arms will fall in the end. Pharaoh is still alive. That's how tanky he is. Skeleton King taken over by Parasite. Cthulhuphon still chasing, but I think Pharaoh may live through this. Cthulhuphon is out of mana, and another Mummy Wall is going to be used, but I feel like going to the other side. There we go. Tundra Blast will finally finish him off. So, wow, great save on Silhouette initially. In the end, a 2-for-1 exchange. Jeppins was the one to die there.
Yeah, and he died to the Parasite that was just barely got enough damage onto him, and then Parasite. The beauty of Parasite against Ophelia is not in the early game where, oh, I can go screw this jungle, take over his creep. It's in the mid game where you're fighting among these team fights, and you can just snag a creep when you need to.
Yeah.
And that's when it's the most effective. But in the meantime, they're just not getting I mean, that was a good turn for the returners, haha. But they're just not simply getting enough. Like, they're fighting these fights without Forsaken Archer, QsQ is, and he's getting so much farm in because of it. Now his farm is almost 500 gold per minute. Look at Silhouettes, who's not even at 400. If they're able to kind of come out even, or maybe not even, but just still do damage in these team fights and have Forsaken Archer farm, they're going to be ahead in the late game.
Yeah.
Regardless of if Silhouette can carry harder than Forsaken Archer. That's not even the argument. So. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that's the big thing, though. You're so right. How Forsaken Archer was just doing his own thing while that whole fight at the bottom lane was going on. They were all distracted. So, sure, they won that mini fight down there. But Nox is just now up to 484 gold per minute. The Geometer is being finished, cleaning up some more creeps here in the jungle. Already has, it's only 500. I thought she had 1,500. That's actually Torture has 1,500 gold saved up. And actually, there we go. He purchases his Tablet of Command. So items across the board right now looking better and better here for the Hellborn team. Legion side, I mean, they do have some positives. Master of Arms, he actually finishes his Soul Stream Ring there, so I guess it's not too crazy impressive, but we'll see where he goes from there. Shaman's Headdress is being finished on Cthulhuphon. You got an Astrolabe and Plate of Greaves on Ophelia. And then, of course, Silhouette, she does finish her Nullstone here. So, Nullstone, what do you make of that pickup?
I think it's a great pickup against specifically Parasite, and just in this game overall, she's going to need that regen to carry it to the late game if it gets to that point. But I think ultimately the thing that kind of put this game, or that set the tone, was the very beginning. Like I said, the Bloodlust onto Ophelia. And it's not really the Bloodlust on Ophelia, it's just the fact that they didn't really set up the lanes correctly, in my opinion. If they saw a double range mid, if they saw quickly they could not win that lane, it's hard against a Torture Voodoo. Yes, they have a little bit more damage because Voodoo doesn't do damage. Actually, bottom lane offensive Master Call used, but they're not going to find a kill out of it. But yes, Glacius does do more damage than Voodoo, but the stun combination between the casks and that chain reaction stun from Torture is just too much. Mm-hmm. And they should have quickly rotated and just crushed that Pharaoh bot and make sure he got absolutely nothing while their Ophelia was free farming in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did see that, as you mentioned, that offensive Master's Call was used. They were going for a kill on a Parasite, but he was just a little bit too quick for them and able to sneak away. And speaking of Parasite, he's with Pharaoh right now. They're going to go for a kill themselves, trying to find somebody here in the jungle. Torture also joining the party, and QsQ's just been doing this throughout this whole game. They keep on playing so aggressive and keep on initiating these fights while Forsaken Archer sitting back and free farming. That's what makes it so a thing of beauty. You know, they may not be winning every single exchange with the ganks and everything, but hey, they got a Forsaken Archer absolutely free farming and dominating right now in gold per minute. You see Voodoo Jester running into the elephant right there in the middle lane, but uses that acid cocktail. Going to be fine. This tower at the bottom lane going to start dropping here. Jeppin's already here on Master. And then Glacius also joining the party. Ports are coming in actually with Cthulhuphon. He ports in a trample on a Torture, and Torture will end up falling. Great true grapple from Silhouette on top of that. Pharaoh now in a lot of trouble as well. He's going to be frozen, and Pharaoh will be taken out as, yes, I am a pumpkin, a.k.a. Angry Testy, picks up the double tap. And as 5, the returners are now going to push this bottom lane.
Great response from the returners, but really, that was kind of a silly play by QsQ. There was no one else. They were like trying to commit to a tower push that they did not have like even more than 3 people for. So that was really silly. Yeah. I mean, you got to say they're spending time to give this Forsaken Archer farm, which is great. But if you're giving up kills like that, it's going to give Silhouette a chance to bounce back, and they're going to get a very fast tower kill. That's one of the things is if you wipe, that wasn't really a full wipe, but if you get heroes dead like that very quickly, Ophelia pushes towers damn fast. Bam, right there, the tower already pushed. putting some damage actually onto SQY, the Voodoo they might have been able to initiate, but was just a little too far away. Good job by Glacius, by the way, too. I was suspecting, normally when you're in the losing side of the game, and you're the support, you just simply lose out on levels so badly, but he's actually keeping neck and neck with Voodoo and actually has more experience per minute than him. Actually, the snipe coming out from Pharaoh, able to get one of those Predasars, if not two. And so good job for him. But Nox, in the meantime, pushed that top lane. So getting a good exchange, what was a bad situation for them earlier.
God, he's level 16. You said it, though. I mean, I was just watching the whole time. No ports came out from the Legion side, but that goes back to, obviously, a lot of them ported to the bottom lane to get there. So it was probably still on cooldown if they even had ports to use. Forsaken Archer just freely pushed that secondary top tower in the meantime. So, again, it was overall a good situation for returners, sure, but still some good things are definitely still happening for QsQ. Despite that success for our Legion team over here. And more on top of that, QsQ will take out the bottom tower. So QsQ does remain in the lead, 5,300 goal lead, 1,800 experience lead. Not taking off by any means. We're 23 minutes in, but still it is a lead. And nonetheless, especially we keep going back to that Forsaken Archer, who has 3,800 gold saved up, by the way. So obviously saving up for something pretty damn huge here. 2,000 gold in Ophelia, 1,700 on Master of Arms. It looks like QQ would be working towards a Shrunken Head, actually, as a Mighty Blade picked up, so we'll see where he goes. Portal Key just purchased on Silhouette. So Angry Tessie going for our usual Silhouette build, it seems like. The Null Stone into the Portal Key proves to be powerful all the time. And
Tablet Command picked up by Ophelia wants to counter that Pharaoh just a little bit. It also counters Torture as well as Parasite, having that slow applied and then being able to push a teammate out or yourself out. It makes it to... It cancels the follow-up, basically. And Master of Arms, let's check out his items. He's actually going what I thought was going to be an Energizer, then quickly wants to get that Shrunken Head up, which is a smart pickup against this team. In fact, I think Shrunken Head is really the name of the game against this Hellborn team. Yes, Forsaken Archer is going to do massive amounts of physical DPS in the later game, but right now, if you're able to survive the burst, actually didn't go for an aggressive item, going for a more defensive. So it has both the Geometers and that Shrunken Head now to get rid of any kind of stuns or snares or anything like that. Wants to be able to live in these team fights. That's a smart pickup. I think the returners definitely needs a Hellflower or a Sheep to lock him down before he gets those both Shrunken Head and the Geometer's Bane off.
Yeah, that's huge for Nox, of course, playing that Forsaken Archer right now. And it looks like QsQ made for really the first time in this game kind of group up as its actual team with Forsaken Archer included. And try to make something happen here. They're going to go into the double-stacked Ancients over here on the Legion side and quickly steal those. So very effective and smart strategy here coming up from QsQ. Going to really reduce the farm of the Legion team, especially the Silhouette, who currently is in her own jungle, but little does she know her Ancients are actually being taken away from her. So good job right there from QsQ, and they're now going to progress more towards the middle lane. Going to run into the Ophelia army here, actually, of the minions as a Parasite. That's the danger of him. He just takes over the Skeleton King and runs away with it as its own. Middle tower dropping quickly. You see the goo put down from Master of Arms trying to maybe scare them off, but all five are here for both teams now. We'll see what kind of initiation happens. You see the Hellborn team especially really spread out. Pharaoh, in the meantime, getting caught up here actually by the Ophelia minions. He's in a little bit of trouble, actually. In jumps Silhouette. There's the quick kill. And Jonas, a fan playing that Pharaoh. So very good start here for the returners. In the meantime, excellent stun right there. Coming out for Cthulhu takes out Voodoo Chester. And the Hellborn team, QsQ, is completely on the run now with Torture going to the middle lane. Forsaken Archer just trying to dodge Crippling Volley. Oh, that's going to be a huge piercing arrows right there. Takes out Glacius. Master of Arms in a lot of trouble. Master of Arms... Oh, he's barely alive. The call of Dice Master's call. Not enough, though. He will finally fall when it's all said and done. Silhouette and Ophelia now on the run. And the Hellborn team turning this around. The Shrunken Head Forsaken Archer, as expected, proven to be huge right there. And so when it's all said and done, QsQ at least fights it off.
They need to know when to back off. They had a perfect start. They got a really good kill onto the Pharaoh. And then a very excellently placed kill onto Voodoo. Really well played by Angry Tessie there, especially disjoining. I forget what it was, but it was a stun or something right after he got the kill on the Pharaoh. Poured it out. They just kind of pursued it too much, and they literally, all three of them, grouped up right in the center for that Forsaken volley and the ultimate. Had Bryce or Emperor not popped that barrier idol, they would have all been wiped instantly. But that barrier idol mitigated so much damage. So that was a really sloppy play there by returners. It started out great, don't get me wrong, but they need to just take their battles smartly.
Yeah, you're so right, though. Good thing Cthulhu had that barrier idol, because if it wasn't for that, that really could have been so much worse. Nox got a perfect piercing arrows off, it looked like, on top of the Legion team, and obviously it set up right away the Glacius kill. Master of Arms survived a little bit longer, but he eventually fell too. But again, in the end, I definitely agree with you there. but the returners, your Silhouette survived, your Cthulhu survived. I believe only 2 heroes ended up dying when it's all said and done. So, you know, at least that's kind of a good twist on it. But Kongor is going to be taken here by Q Squad. Forsaken Archer will now have a token of life as well, on top of her Slayer she actually picked up recently. So Savage Mace in the works for her. That damage output getting really intense as always. Ophelia needs to be a little bit careful here. She's going to start falling back. But that's just something else that the returners now are going to have to deal with here.
It's going to be really, really hard to deal with that token. The mass port's actually coming out top for a Silhouette Illusion that just faded away, so wasting 2 ports right there. They're able to make something happen up here. Already Glacius is walking up here in the top lane. Can they maybe get a kill on Parasite? Here comes Angry Tessie. He gets the tree grapple. It does hit Parasite. Parasite doing a lot of damage. Uses the blink right there at an interesting time. Actually, Glacius is going to be a lot of trouble. This stun comes out. He is definitely going to die. Yeah, he will get a kill. But Tessie does get a kill. Actually ends Male's serial killer streak for a little bit of extra gold there. So that's a fine exchange.
Yeah, and you know it's Glacius. So let's be honest. So
yeah,
good sacrifice from Fiske right there. But yeah, that was an interesting portal key, definitely from Angry Tessie. I think he was actually trying to maybe disjoint the leech ability from Parasite with the portal key, trying to kind of guess the reaction, but just a little bit too early, but still looked fancy, and hey, got the kill nonetheless. That's what matters. Forsaken, this is Torture actually up here. Is pushing, you mentioned earlier, that Hellflower pickup going to be huge. Has 2 Arcanos, needs a third, but he's in a lot of trouble now. Silhouette chasing, offensive Master's Call used, but Silhouette not going to chase any further. We'll just farm up the creep wave. Silhouette, by the way, showing off her level 1 shield breaker there. So yeah, going for some raw damage here.
Oh, that was a completely missed kill, unfortunately. That would have been really easy. He didn't even need to get the tree grapple. It's one thing to unfortunately miss it, but with that offensive Master's Call, Silhouette probably could have just pumped auto attacks with the Death Lotus hitting. And, I mean, this is a Torturer. If you check out his build and you evaluate how much damage you actually need to kill him, it's not much. Yeah. He doesn't even have 1,000 gold.
986 max
sorry,
life,
1,000 life. And he's going for a straight Hellflower. No Shrunken Head up, not even close. So going purely offensive, which is such a risky build. So in these fights, I mean, that's a lot of gold to be dumped onto somebody that's going to die so fast. But look at Nox pushing the bottom tower with the rest of his team. Mid tower does go down for the returners, but Nox is 605 GPM.
Seriously, it just doesn't stop, man. This guy just knows how to farm, and he does it so well. In the meantime, though, Silhouette, Angry Tessie, gets a top tower kill himself, and, you know, his farm's impressive, too, but it isn't comparable to Nox right now. Still 120 gold per minute less than him, as Nox is in the front lines. Again, he has that token of life. Torture not here just yet. He is currently pushing up the middle lane, but Cthulhu wants to make something happen. Will he trample? No, he will not. Again, obviously, they're very aware he has that token of life, so they don't want to use everything just to destroy it and then get raped after. So they're going to try to play a little bit passive here, not force anything. The minions for Ophelia dropping quickly. Now he's just down to a Skeleton King, I believe. So that's a little bit unfortunate for her, but tower damage happening, and Forsaken Archer, again, leading the way with that. So if you're the returners here, you got to think about making something happen soon, perhaps. I mean, sure, your tower's one thing, but if they start hitting on the Rex, that really starts to get dangerous. But this tower, at this rate, very likely will fall unless we see initiation probably in this next creep wave here from the returners. So
yeah, there's a ton of gold dumped onto Forsaken Archer. There's also a fair amount dumped onto this Torturer. If you're able to kill this Torture, if you're trying to pick a fight with this token beat up and you kill Torture right away, but you're able at the same time to stun or snare or keep Forsaken out of the fight, but not necessarily aiming her, that's really the best way that they can initiate this team fight. It's going to be hard for Parasite. Parasite actually is choosing to level up his Codex. I don't agree with that. I feel like they're going to need some initiation to go with that Pharaoh ulti. I really think a Portal Key would have been best for him. There's the completed Savage Mace for Forsaken Archer. It's going to be able to hit that tower uphill, and it's going to just melt.
Yeah, here we go. A couple more auto attacks. That'll do it. There we go. In fact, Cthulhu even tries to deny. Says, here, I'll help you with that. So now the tower's dead. The racks, of course, that's the really important thing. Will the returners be able to hold that off? He will have to go a little bit uphill. In fact, there's a jump right there a little bit, but the Geometer's Bane going to be used by Forsaken Archer. Port coming in for Silhouette, though, and this is possibly a chance for the returners now to make something happen in terms of jumping in, but it's on who is the question. And remember, Pharaoh is also here on the Hellborn team. Will he Wrath the Pharaoh in? If he gets that opportunity, I'm sure he will. What a standoff we have here, though. Both teams very, very timid, but it is in favor of QsQ right now because that Rax is taking more and more damage. The Token of Life still has 2.5 minutes, so you're not going to outlast that. at this rate. There we go. Rats on the Pharaoh will catch Silhouette, actually. She gets pushed out, though, by the tablet command. Now Pharaoh's in poor positioning. They're jumping to Forsaken Archer. Forsaken Archer dropping quickly. Torture ultimate. He's going to tablet over the ledge. The Bound Eye will drop. Cthulhu Fawn dies. Glacius will fall. Master of Arms running away. Silhouette will pick off Forsaken. No, it's going to miss the Death Lotus. And Forsaken Archer is still just barely alive. Again, he has a token alive, so you almost want to say maybe he just wants to get himself killed here. But no, he's going to start healing up with that Whispering Helm. And he will be fine for now. Now, Cthulhu Fawn can buy back, actually.
Right.
That's going to be the big key here if they're going to try to catch them off guard. There's the tablet in. Nobody stuns the illusion, actually. And we are still at a little bit of a standoff here.
I think that they really need to focus better. There was a Torture. Actually, there comes Angry
wow.
Testy.
Wow.
He's actually going to try to focus down that Forsaken Archer. Not able to get him, though, unfortunately. Look at where Torture is sitting. It's just like free food to me.
Yeah.
If they just any kind of stun or bam, 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 a couple auto attacks, Torture will die. Like that easy, guys. It's that easy. Drunken Head now popped to the Master of Arms. He's in a lot of trouble. He actually gets ported back by Ophelia. There's a stun, actually. Forsaken Archer doing so much damage to Ophelia. Glacius will fall in a matter of 2 auto attacks. No, he's actually going to be okay. Master of Arms does port over here. The ultimate comes out from Pharaoh. There's Cthulhu Fawn. He's porting. Silhouette's going to be in a lot of trouble, though. There's Cthulhu Fawn charge. It actually misses everything, unfortunately, and this Rax will fall.
Without Cthulhu Fawn there, he chose not to buy back. There was about 10 seconds left when that fight got initiated, and he chose to wait it all out. And I really think without Cthulhu Fawn there, they just don't have that beefy presence, obviously. And I think that move was definitely a big deal for them. So in the end, the Melee Rax will finally go down for Q Squad, and they will now retreat as that's exactly what they came for. So definitely a one fight there for Q Squad. I mean, that didn't go necessarily completely horrible for the returners, but they are down by even more. And obviously being down by a Rax now on top of that is not good news for them.
I just think that Torture was completely flirting with death. He was so out of position. And, I mean, you saw it. Literally, it was like 4 auto attacks or something like that with Angry Testy and just decimated him. And I saw at the beginning of that fight, I actually saw Glacius kind of targeting him, and unfortunately no one else was able to. And he did use the push book. Yes, he does have a tablet, but, man, this Torture is sitting at such low HP. I really think he's the one to focus on these team fights, especially when the Forsaken Archer had a token up. Now that Forsaken Archer does have the token, you should start focusing her. Yes, I completely agree with that. But, you know, that last fight, a very, very fast pickup on Torturer, then backing up very, very quickly, reset the fight, 4-on-5 would have been the right route to go.
Yeah, so I do agree with you. I mean, it definitely, when you were mentioning, I was actually looking at that a little bit as far as where the positioning was, and you were right. And then it's like right after that, 2 auto attacks, and he drops to nearly death, and a couple more later he was dead. So you got to maybe question that a little bit coming out from our Legion team. But in the end, what's done is done. They're now regrouping here in the middle of the map. And a Silhouette will continue to farm. A Portal Key has been picked up on Cthulhu Fawn. That could prove to be a pretty effective item. Whoa, Forsaken Archer playing very aggressive there. He is definitely baiting. As you see the Hellborn team, they were ready to jump if she got jumped, but the Legion team was not going to have any of that. That looked very scary for Nox right there. In fact, Wrath of the Pharaoh will be used, catching Master of Arms. He is way up there, though. Will this be worth it? Ophelia going to store speed in the air. There's the Cthulhu Fawn travel after the Portal Key. In the meantime, though, Forsaken Archer is going to drop Glacier right here, but in jumps Silhouette, and Forsaken Archer is actually dropping pretty quickly now. Gianna's being used. There's our Shrunken Head, but Silhouette don't give 2 shits about the Shrunken Head. They kill each other, actually. Down for a 1-for-1 exchange, but in the end, it looks like Q Squad definitely in the favor right now. Enzo's going to end up getting caught by the Mummy Wall. He'll tablet out, but it's not going to be enough. He will fall. And Forsaken Archer, she did buy back. She is already on her way. Silhouette can buy back, but it would just be him and Master of Arms. So this is going to be huge now for Q Squad.
I mean, they actually played the fight quite well. It's just right now, Q Squad's using all their gold to their advantage, and they're just able to overcome in these team fights with the massive items they have. Yet again, I think aiming the Torture is just the right route to go. He is so unbelievably squishy and does so much damage against that team. But now, when you have a Forsaken Archer pounding in you, I know it's a little bit easier said than done, but they're in a horrible spot right now. If this second Rax falls, or second set of Rax falls, I should say, then it's going to be amazingly difficult. It will ultimately fall. Forsaken Archer actually does get initiation onto Silhouette. Wow. She dies almost immediately from the Codex and the ulti combination from Pharaoh, and this is looking close to GG.
Yeah, I think with that especially, Forsaken Archer is going to get caught by Cthulhu Fawn. He's still well alive, though. He's got the Whispering Helm. No, he's dropping now, and yes, Nox will actually fall when it's all said and done. But GG well plays are already being called, so even with that kill right there, they are just too far behind, as we saw, as you were talking about. And it will be official. We have our first game going to Q Squad over the returners. So I know a lot of people tuning in, really curious to see what this returners team would bring to the table as far as this going to be a newly formed team. And Angry Testy, no doubt, has a large fan base, and him coming back to the competitive scene and everything. Game one here against a pretty solid team in Q Squad doesn't go in their favor, but they did have their positives at the same time. But Q Squad, they are a great team, and I can't say I am too surprised by that result by any means.
I mean, Q Squad's been playing together for quite some time now, almost 2 months, I want to say. Constantly scrimming, playing in matches. So I'm not surprised that they won this, but at the same time, there's still a lot of things that both teams can improve on. Despite Q Squad actually taking that game and winning and looking fairly good, the build on Torture was just kind of I don't understand it. He was way too squishy. Had the returners actually capitalized on that, it would have been a quick 4v5 fight in their favor. And to their to criticize them a little bit, I just think they needed a little bit more time reevaluating their strategy, especially in the early game. That mid lane, that dual lane, it was very rough. Dual range versus dual range. Mm-hmm. They had to quickly realize that the double stun, almost triple stun combination coming out from the casks and the chain reaction stun from Torture was just too hard to deal with, even if it was a Glacius Master of Arm, which is strong in its own in its own right. But they needed to switch something up.
Yeah, they definitely needed to. So. Well, they get a chance here. Game number 2, they could definitely switch some things up and see what happens. But that goes back to remember the selection stage, man. The blind bands of Warbeast and Kinesis by Q Squad. Hey, that proved to work out in a sense for them. So I'm really curious now going into game number 2. Obviously, what is going to happen between these two teams? It is a best of the 3. So will the returners, will they come back here? Or will Q Squad wrap it up with a 2-0 victory? We are going to take a quick break like usual, but we're also going to quickly restart the stream, guys. Apparently, there are some here and nows of apparently lag issues, so we're going to restart the stream, hopefully get those issues figured out, fixed, and then we'll be coming right back. So just a quick restart, and stay tuned. We'll be back with game number 2.
QsQ.